happy Monday to everyone.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday.
We are on Monday instead of Tuesday to some scheduling conflicts, but we are here. We got a great show ahead. You guys will definitely enjoy this show. We're going to be talking about where were we over the weekend, Patty?
We were at the Jim Jone's Boyhood Church in Lynn, Indiana.
And who was all there?
Let's see. Well, clearly I was there, and you were there.
Yeah.
We were invited by our friends Bob and Denise, and then we had Sean Austin with us. So,
and our good buddy Jim,
Visions member Jim Wilson.
Yes. And we've got a lot to discuss about this investigation. So at this time, I'm just going to bring everybody on. Hello, guys. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. How are we doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Glad to be here. Absolutely.
Last weekend was great. Had a really good time. Just getting together and doing what we all love to do, right? Before I get started, though, I know Bob. Thanks to Sean and Bob for giving me the name to that awesome recorder that Sean has. I was in a bid war over last night, but I got one. I'll have it by Friday. I got for $125 though. I got that, and I got an ST10. And I'm like, okay, let's pray to God that they look as good as they did in the picture. So, yeah. And they're coming, and they're not far. I'm the person that had them's from Louisville, Kentucky. So, yeah. So, I should have them by this weekend. But nice. This investigation, it's been right before we get into that. This topic has been hot on a couple apps for Jim Jone's documentary of what had happened back in the 70s to over 900 people that died under him from just being brainwashed. And I just noticed that it was on today on the guide, and I'm like, wow, just crazy. And we got to go and investigate his church where he grew up going. And thanks to Bob and Denise for making that happen for all of us. Really, really appreciate you guys and the invite. I would say, and a lot of people are just like, what? Within minutes of being in the building, it just took off, right? I mean, there was a lot of activity from takeoff, from just standing there as we're getting things together. Things just, boom, it happened. And we all agree that, Bob, you said it's like been 2 years since it's been open to the paranormal community.
Yeah, just around that, because they bought it 2022, I believe.
Okay.
Spring of 2022.
And I mean, Sean, you were standing there talking to us, and you looked right behind us, and you're like, dude, I just saw a black mist just right behind you on the piano. I'm like, what? And then as we were turning to hear that, we heard a man in the room on the other side of the sanctuary. And it's just like, okay, people want to talk.
Yeah, it was pretty immediate. I have been there prior before, but like I said, which I think kind of validated some of that as we investigated that night, is that this place has been open for a couple of years, and obviously there's a diversified amount of people that have come through there for paranormal research purposes, and they have all different types of methods and ways of approaching the paranormal. And a place that may have been a little haunted definitely had some other participants with us, engaging with us that night. I think, especially when it progressed towards the end of the night. But yeah, I think it was pretty much right away. I mean, we were getting straight up, really clear EVPs. And yeah, I did see that over your shoulder. And then I know that we heard a noise in that room next to the stage where the pulpit is. And then, I took an AI image, which if anyone doesn't know, it draws a picture of what it believes it sees. And some people use it for paranormal research purposes. And I've gotten a lot of results like that. So I've tested out, and I asked if you could stand there. And right after that, there was two figures standing there right in the doorway, as well as Patty, I think, went over there into that area. And then we did an EVP. And it was the first thing that was kind of a clue that we were trying to connect the dots later. But, she was saying, well, I mean, it actually said on EVP that, oh, I don't like her, get her out of here, or something of that sort.
Yeah.
Like there was a little bit more of that theme coming through later. And then, what ended up happening to Patty later could have been connected as well, which I'm sure we'll get to as well.
Yeah. And her eyes when that happened, because Patty's never really been targeted like she was Saturday night.
No, I've definitely had plenty of people say I don't like her, and that's perfectly fine. um, and we were sort of trying to figure out, was it actually me, or was it another woman in the building that you also captured a photo of as well. And I gotta say, those AI images are they creep me the hell out.
Yeah. And that's the one thing too, is that I think even for me to be, having medium abilities or sensitive spirits in general, for anyone, when you have those abilities, you are your own piece of equipment, but it's all about synergistically working with all the other tools that we use to try to look for validation to confirm what you're feeling, that you're actually having something legitimately connected to the paranormal investigation as a whole. And yeah, when I took that image, I took another AI image and I faced toward the pews, and I was just like, if there's somebody here, can you like sit in one of the pews or stand by one of the pews? And there was this lady that looked like she had her legs like she was sitting on top of the pew all the way at the end, right by the doorway of, if you were exiting the church or entering. And that's right after that, which was kind of interesting. Let's go over there and let's do some sessions and see if we can get something else to kind of validate if some female's there. And like literally we go over there, and the first EVP I hear is like, I'm a woman watching you, in a whisper. And I'm just like, I mean, that's, it's really interesting when that starts to line up. And then we were getting some pretty wild responses, especially with Denise. There was definitely a sassy woman coming through, giving us some lovely information about some rest. But also there was this man I was feeling, typically for me, I get a symbol for me if someone's going to get help. If I pray at some point, I get it shown to me or said to me. And, psychically, I would be shown a white horse or a white dove if someone's going to cross over, and a white horse would be a male crossing over, and a white dove would be a female. And I was feeling it was a male, and I said it out loud. And then this man started to consistently come through and was asking like for help. Can you send me, your prayer? And was on EVP, was on Spirit Box. So I knew that there was somebody that was really asking for legitimate help. And that's how I always disseminate how I'm dealing with the human spirit, because my opinion is that, no evil spirit would ever want you to pray for any reason, bring you closer to God. So that is my confirmation of what we're dealing with there. Even though I think there may have been a little bit more of a different ball game down in the basement. There was some sort of dark trickster type thing, which we also had references to as well in the Spirit Box. It was telling us there was a trickster there. And I knew that the female voice, I just didn't have a good feeling about it. I feel like something was trying to play with us, toy with us. And I think we got a little bit more of that in the basement.
And I'm going to go back when you said you was doing the AI image in the back of the church there, like by the exit. When we got back there, a few of us actually saw you even said it out loud. There was like this light that came down inside that pew, and then it shot towards where you all were standing, because I was by the door on the other side of you. And at that time you felt a cool sensation. And
yes. And that was another EVP that validated that, because while I had the recorder in my hand, I was recording EVP, and I'm like, I feel like a coldness to my right. And right around that time, what looked like to me, and I have to review the video too, it looked like a spherical shape coming down and did an abrupt, turn. Now, obviously, a lot of this stuff can be dust, but, if it's defying gravity and has an intelligence to its path, then I would lead towards possibly an anomalous item. And when I listened back in the EVP right around the time or right before, I think it was right before I said I felt coldness, then there's a voice saying, I'm right behind you.
Yeah, you physically heard that.
Yeah, I was asking if it was right
Yeah.
in front of me because I felt the coldness. And then it was like when I listened back on the recording, once again, it was validating that I felt that presence. And Denise actually felt a coldness too. And that was the direction that shape had gone towards, where Denise was sitting in the pew at that moment, because we had gone to that area where that AI image took of the alleged woman that was right there at the edge of the the pew with us. But it was just, things were happening really fast, really in sync. And that's a obviously a tall tale sign of a good investigation when things like that start happening. So
Yeah, I know. As soon as we open the door and we go in, and it's just like, oh, we've got visitors. Let's just welcome them to our church. It's like,
And also in true Jim Wilson form, when you mentioned the cold spot, Jim came racing over with the Mel meter, and we also verified the temperature change that way. And that's something that our team does a lot, just trying to validate with, not only the personal experience, but more than one instrument, with, again, that Mel was registering, I know of at least a 3-degree temperature drop. And,
you got the Bell meter, you got the EVP, you got the physical feelings that we're feeling. I mean,
what you actually saw. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things lining up for sure. And the more that we can add up with what we have, whether we're feeling ourselves or the tools, the better. So we can really say, oh, this is some unexplained phenomenon going on, most likely.
And that was probably within 30 minutes of investigating it when this all took place.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even have our stuff out. I mean, we were just going with just what we had. And it was just phenomenal what was there that wanted to talk. But then as we were investigating through the evening, because it was early, we all started to think that, okay, other paranormal teams come in to locations, right? And we don't know how people investigate. Sometimes, they think, oh, if I do it this way, or I don't know if they did use Ouija boards, or they could have brought in something. We all have those attachments that follow us, and then they may stay somewhere and leave us alone. So we felt like, as it being a church, and the more I was thinking about it driving home, you've got a church. So you've got a lot of great spiritual energy in there. You have weddings there. And then on the other side, you have funerals, and people, when they do funerals, it's a wake. So that is a party that, a lot of people, oh no, it's sad. No, but to Christian, that is a party. That is a celebration. But then on the other side, we were dealing with something else other than that. And like Sean said, it came around us upstairs and it came around us downstairs. And that's where we had to keep our eyes out. We had to keep an eye out on things because you just never know. And, when we're picking this stuff up, and then, poor Jim, he likes to do real time. That is Jim's thing, always been. And when Sean's getting these EVPs and I'm just watching Jim's face as Jim comes up with his recorder up to Sean's, as Sean's got it in front of his phone, to show people on TikTok, Jim's looking at me like, wow. And he even said it. When we took a break downstairs. Never heard that much evidence within so many, without, when all those questions that was asked. And that was just phenomenal that there was so many people. And it, as an investigator, it breaks our heart that, oh, they're there, they're waiting for us to investigate, and you don't want to leave them, because how do we know we got to everybody,
Yeah. Well, I think it's something for me too, and I think Denise and Bob have experienced this too. Is that I have an intention to wherever I go is that I legitimately, genuinely want to try to help the spirits, and I believe that they can see that around my aura. There's a colorization to the characteristics of my aura that they know that there's a mutual respect there. That I'm not just treating them like a lab, animal, just do a flip, for me and take off and stuff like that. So I really feel like there's a lot more incentive for these spirits to come forward and communicate with me because they know that they have a chance to really have an opportunity to get help. And that's why, I get it before I go places and stuff like that. It resonates because they feel like, if they're going to use their energy to manifest, then, they some of them will do it because they're just desperate or they have deviant, reasons for it. But from my experience over the years, I really feel like they're really inspired to put that energy forthcoming when you're investigating, if they know there's a respect and a real intention of truly wanting to help them and not just saying, here, have a voice, speak through my speaker and then take off. I think that evidence will be a lot more reciprocal overall if you really put that out there and they can sense that. They know that's your intention. You can't hide your intention when you go on investigation. They know exactly what you're all about subconsciously. So there's no hiding that. And intent is a very profound element in the paranormal. I think that was just consistently happening. And even when we were talking about, we were upstairs with Denise and Bob, we were asking, someone's talking about a portal, and obviously we know that people are doing stuff. And I'm like, where's the portal? And said, downstairs. And, that's where all this other weird stuff started going on. That whole thing that happened to me, because I was the first one. I felt, we were getting a lot of devil, Satan, and goat coming through. Like it was just kind of really dark and weird and tricky and just weird vibes. And I remember doing that one EVP, and like I told you, I felt burning on my leg. And I've been doing this for enough of the years to know, like me personally, if you get scratched, it's not going to be for like a few seconds. It's going to sit there. And I'm sure, Patty, being the first time you ever scratched, you probably felt burning for quite some time, where it was going on and on and on. Like to me, it was an attempt to try to scratch me, and it was like maybe for about 3 seconds and then dissipated. Like there was definitely an attempt, in my opinion. And then I was recording an EVP at the same time, and then to hear right before you hear me say out loud something, feel burning, these two voices that said, watch your leg, and then right before that is, I will bite you. And
that right there, when you said that, I'm like, dude, what? We're gonna start biting? Like,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's just wow, yeah, and it was like it was a total change in the atmosphere in that fellowship room. You could see the from your light on your tripod, we could see a certain distance, right? But when this started to happen, and I'm standing back, I could see that the change, it was getting darker, right? So something was coming over us. And of course, when you was trying to do the EVP, and I'm like, what is going on with my watch?
Oh yeah, that was.
So I know not to wear this around you, John.
Yeah. Well, I was using the APF processor, the SP7 Pro, which is definitely my favorite ITC device made by Gary Galka. Whatchamacallit, and even to take a step back too, as well, is that, if you noticed, I had said out loud, which I try to, do just to kind of, again, give an opportunity to spirits, to give them permission. I said out loud, if any of the human spirits that are here with us, if you need energy, we'll give you permission to use the energy from our electrical devices. And then, your batteries died twice on your camera, right?
Instantly, and they were fully charged, because when I just turned it on, all of the bars in the battery was fully charged. And these are not just your typical batteries. These are, a bigger battery. So for my camcorder. So, and I don't know what, I was just like, all right. So when you, the last, I was like, okay, I'm going to stay away from you. So when we were downstairs and you were upstairs, Patty, did I have that problem downstairs? She's got her mute on.
I have to mute because the cats are talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we did not have that problem.
No, we had no issue. And I even thought to myself, see, Sean's not near me. So that was good because I was constantly putting them on the charge. I have a dual charger and I had it hooked up in the room, and I was like constantly charging those batteries. And when you guys went back up after that, we took a break, Patty and I, and we were just trying to regroup and figure out, because we wanted to do an Estes method down there. So we finished, we had a drink and some snacks, and we leave that room. And as I was getting ready to tell her we're going to, Denise's tripwire was down there. I said, we'll just run that. And I was getting ready to say that. Patty, she's in front of me, and she starts grabbing her back. She goes, man, it is burning. And I'm like, what's burning? She goes, my back. And I'll let you share that, Patty, what you experienced at that moment.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, there's not much to share other than it burned.
That's Brandy. She came from Randolph County Asylum. We rescued her.
Oh, yeah. That's why I was muted.
Yes, my troop thought they'd join in.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, that's burning, and Lee's like, oh, let me take a look. So whipped my shirt up, and he's like, oh my gosh, you've gotten scratched. And the more that I think about it, we get a lot of activity when we are taking a break, and I feel like that's because we've diverted our attention, and the spirits are like, hey, we're still here and you're not paying attention to us, much like this pain in the ass cat. So is that the thing? It was like, oh, okay, they're still not paying attention to us, so I better just jab this lady over here. Was it that, or was it hey, there's that bitch from upstairs, let's get her? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, the timing was what it too, because at that time Sean had gone back upstairs because he was going to have to be leaving. And look, we got a cat going on too. Yep. He was crossing over the gentleman that wanted to cross over. And then when we were done with that and came downstairs, you had been scratched. So about the same time he was crossing the gentleman over is about the time you got scratched by something down in the basement.
Something didn't like the process of what he was doing upstairs. No. Took it out on Patty. Like, wow.
And mind you too, like I if I stand correct, like when we first were doing EVP and I mentioned something about helping a spirit, we heard a growl upstairs.
Yes. Yep, you did mention
EVP,
that.
We heard something weird, like something didn't like it at all. So it seems the rational theoretical thing was like it was lashing out on you. It targeted you from the beginning of the investigation, and the timing of that seems a little too close for comfort to not be connected. But I mean, it didn't like that. They never do. They never like that shit. So.
No. And I'm going to try to share this for everyone what Patty experienced. There it is. And the way that, if you're looking at this, it's coming down. So it's like on the top, and it's going from like right to left to her center of her back. And then
there's 3 lines. You can see the third one like faintish on the left.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that right there, I'm just like, wow, she's never experienced anything like that. And she knows, me being an empath, and the issue we had at a residential years ago, she could actually literally see my back getting scratched all to pieces. And she's like, wow, is that really was on my back? And I'm like, here, my camera don't lie. This is what happened to you. So I wanted to share that with everyone, that's what happened. So what was going on upstairs was Sean and them, doing what he was doing to help that person. Something did not like the process of that. And I guess he was just pissed off and was doing all kind, he was, who knows, running around the church. I don't know. And saw Patty, boom, scratched her. And it was an interesting moment for her. Then she felt a little different. She was like, I can't be down here in this area. I was like, so I felt nervous because I was going to do the Estes method, and I was going to go under, and I was going to sit in the kitchen And then I felt bad because me being under, I don't know what's going on out there. And, but at that time, I think you were getting ready to leave, Sean. And
Right.
so they all came downstairs. So yeah, but that place, yeah, it's a different vibe. It may be a church, but someone has invited something in there that's got a grip onto that building.
Now, did anything stick out to you that happened after I left?
Well, he tried to scare me to death. He's sitting in the kitchen, and I was sitting at the back,
Yeah.
all furthest away from the kitchen, kind of over by where we were using Nerve Center. I was up by that wall, and all of a sudden he's like, "Where's Denise? You got to move. There's something coming down the stairway that way." And I had been looking over to my left for like the last 3 minutes. He had no idea because he couldn't see me because it felt like something was staring at me. And then he's like, "You got to move. Something's coming down those stairs." So I got up, went across the room.
What I felt when I was under, I could feel like somebody was coming into that room with me, into the kitchen, but it would back away. Well, Sean's, and then what had happened is like it backed out, and even though Bob was standing in that window, right, looking in at me,
I had
I felt that it would go through those stairway and towards the front of the building, go up, and it would run through the sanctuary because I could hear footsteps running above me. And then it would come down, but it wouldn't come all the way down those steps in the back, right? So I just felt that a few times. And then when I took those off, that headphones, and I was like, "Where's Denise?" Because I could see all of you, Jim and Patty and Bob. And I was like, something's getting ready to come down the steps. And
well, and if you recall, at some point I said one of my questions was, are you the woman we saw upstairs, or are you really a woman? Something like that. And Lee, with the headphones and such, what he said was, "You can see me?" And me and Bob and Denise all kind of looked at each other because it was extremely relevant. And then Lee says, "Wow, it just got really cold in here. Something came near me," or something. Like, again, it was during that Estes. There were quite a few that were relevant answers to my questions, and I'll remember better when I review my audio. But there were a couple times where we all kind of looked at each other like, wow. And, they did get to see that at the beginning of that, where I call Lee all sorts of names just to make sure he cannot hear me.
Yeah, because, well, it looks like Sean had a bad connection. He'll probably get back on here soon. It was, I'm about Estes Method. I've watched it. I've done it. I just am leery about it, I guess. Because, you watch some of the shows where they're doing it, and I see the headphones up on one side of the ear so they can hear a little bit, and I'm like, come on, if you're going to do it right, do it right. I don't really do it right. I don't have those goggles on. I'm not looking in a red bulb like we should. And I think I'm going to change that, because that does do something. It interferes with what you're trying to hear, because you're looking at that light, and what we're trying to look at is to see a shadow cast through that red light as we're listening to what's coming through the headphones. And I'm still leery about the Estes Method. I'm still learning. But I really I had that volume up real loud, and I have the headphones that I use are noise canceling headphones.
I could hear it. You had it up loud enough. I could hear it scanning.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear nothing. And I, even if I had my eyes closed, I still had that little mask on all the way over my nose. So I didn't want, no interference. It was just a creepy moment right there, because there's that pantry in the kitchen area, and it came to me in my dream that when we came home, and there's Sean.
Sorry about that.
No, I was like, he had a poor connection. That's fine, dude. And so as I was laying in bed in my dream, I was that something was standing in that pantry. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when we all walked around during the day and we were all down there, that pantry door was wide open. The door was all the way to the wall. I never said anything when I go and sit down, but when I took the headphones off to get up out of the chair after I asked, "Where's Denise?" I looked over, that pantry door was partially closed. Now, I know Patty was videoing me, so hopefully, and I think there was like some kind of towel bar, like a silver towel bar on there. So that should, even with the night vision on the camera, I should be able to see that. So when I go over that, if I see that door closing, there was nobody in there but me. I was like, oh no.
I think the whole night when you go through everything, like, you guys had some live and Sean was live, and then everything that was recorded, if you go through between the EVPs, the spirit box, the AI, the Estes method, everything is going to go together.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes too, I'm going to add on that, like, there's different types of boxes. Like you've got your oviluses, all the stages of oviluses. You've got the ghost box, different types of ghost box that was made. Then you got all the accessories added. If you use those, and you may get something right away, and then Sean may get something on his differently. But later on, that's a piece of a puzzle that you're putting together, right? Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the night, like I always tell people when we do residentials, we may get something that may be at the end of the puzzle at takeoff, but don't take that. Just let us do our thing first, and let us see what we get after we go over everything, because we're documenting everything that we're doing. Even on my recorder, when like, I know I stopped my recorder a lot when Sean would get a noise. I would stop mine because I had my recorder, and I would say, just a reminder for me, go back, let's see what that was. So when I go over it this week, I'm going to see. Because we want to use these tools as much as we can. I know I put mine through workout. I want to use it as much as I can because I want to see if it's really working. For everything that I buy, and I've got a garage full of stuff down there. Oh, there's something new. I need it, but it's worth trying. So,
well, I think we had so much activity between the basement area and the sanctuary. We never even went up to the attic, which is where a lot of people go and say they get a lot of stuff. We didn't go to the nursery, into that nursery where people get stuff. There was something there at that nursery area.
Yes.
But I think we realized as we were leaving, we all hit that brick wall and we're like, I can't do anymore. And then it's like, oh, hey, we never went to the attic or anything.
Bob showed me the attic, and Fat Boy sweated, and I was like, I don't know if I can go up there. It's so hot up there right now. Later in the year, as it cools down, I think it would be okay. But right now, it was so hot because I still want to know what's up with that little half wall that's got the white sand upstairs.
Well, Sean, you've been there before. Have you investigated other areas?
Yeah, I was in all the areas the last time I was there. I mean, it was just super hot that night, and I just knew, like, even if like all of us were in that tiny room upstairs, I'm gonna feel like more I should be like in sitting in a towel and hot rocks on my back like a sauna. So, but yeah, no, I've been to all the other parts, but I have to say, I mean, the energy is completely different than when I was there, and that's what I was saying. Like, obviously, some other people have come in here and allowed some other entities to come through with doorways with their own specific intentions to open up that doorway to the spirit world. So, that's why it could be different anytime we go back there, because there's just different people and different methods going on. There's definitely something dark and tricky that likes to play games there, and obviously tried to scratch me, and then definitely was targeting you from the beginning of the night. I think that was definitely connected for whatever that reason is. I don't know, but
yeah. And when you were saying when you felt like you got scratched on your leg, and you said it bit you, I'm like, that's when Bob was holding the IT device, and that one is using your energy from your own finger Now I used it. I didn't get nothing. And I sometimes feel that way, being an empath. I feel like I'm just putting a damper on your parade, right? Because it's going to stay away from me. And then I handed it over to Patty. Then she gave it to Denise, and I think they started getting things. But Bob was like the root to keep that stuff going. I'm like, because when he was holding it, all that stuff that Sean was saying, I'm like, what? You're getting bit? I'm like, oh my God. And I started like grabbing my legs, like, man, don't bite me, man.
It's for the science, man. It's for the science.
You got to do what you got to do. Take it for the team.
That's right.
I do
That's the
wish
thing.
you guys. Yeah, I wish you guys could have been upstairs. I don't know if you on Sean's lives and stuff, but I'm just gonna say it because I don't think I've even ever told Sean this. There's nothing more amazing than being around Sean when he's crossing spirits over. The way he does it, the way he cares, and then he gets validation every time. They tell him that they either saw the light or they're good now, and so anytime he says he's about ready to cross spirits over and leave, even if he's only there an hour, whatever, I'll be disappearing because that's one thing I won't miss when he's around.
I know, and that happened at the other church you guys took me to too. I mean, we had a really amazing validation that night too. But yeah, that night, I mean, I told you, I mean, I was seeing a white horse. I had announced it out loud. I feel like there's a male spirit that's going to get help if I pray. And obviously the man consistently was coming throughout the night. That's why when I knew I was going to get ready to take off, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go up and pray for this gentleman. And then of course, anyone else that wants the prayer, but I knew what was being told to me, that there was this man. And obviously once I actually prayed, I'm like, do we help this guy out? And this voice just comes through and it goes, he just left. And then I'm like, really? And then loud as me saying it to you right now, which I have on video, it's like literally you hear a man go, "Thanks, Sean."
Yeah, you said that. Like, thanks, Sean.
Yeah. So, that's definitely a good feeling. Obviously there's thrills and chills here in what we do, but these souls were alive in the physical plane like we once were. And we should treat each other with that same respect. And again, when you
I totally agree.
do that out into the environment, when you're in an environment that's filled with these types of earthbound souls, we're all brothers and sisters who come from the same source of light. That gives me really good feeling. Those are the type of experience that makes my day. Because I mean, just the chance that you have your hand in facilitating someone's pathway towards eternal peace or forgiveness or whatever they haven't been able to let go of. That's a very fulfilling feeling, rather than just getting the roller coaster feelings of all the madness that can go on in investigation. That's definitely pretty powerful. And that's why I love doing it too. All the years of me live streaming is, the power of prayer. Because
Amen,
I mean,
dude.
we're talking about spirits that are in 100% spirit form, and also in the spirit world. I mean, they're seeing a whole world that's different than what we see in our eyes. We only get little bits and pieces of that. And for them to actually sit there and consistently ask for prayer all the time, I think is pretty powerful, let alone, what they ended up saying after I pray. I mean, I've been doing this for so many years, live streaming and praying, and they'll pray with me right in sync. They'll say parts of the prayer with me. And then just like Denise said, just like I'm going to heaven, I see my mother, I'm reunited. Thank you so much. I'll get emotional because I'll feel their emotions and stuff like that. That's powerful. And I love that, being able to, people to watch that, live, because it's not editing of a TV show. It's that could change someone's perception and show, spirituality from a positive standpoint, not just, wanting to watch a horror movie or a scary paranormal documentary or something of that sort.
I know when Jim said that, he came to me and he goes, man, Sean, he said that prayer, dude. He said that like he meant it. And he goes, and he had that down to a T, that prayer. Yeah. And he goes, dude, I can't wait to go over all my recordings. He said, because I'm picking up everything that Sean is documenting and we're all agreeing on. He goes, that's what makes an investigation. I said, absolutely. I was like, because when you can take what everybody is getting, anyway, if it's physical being scratched to the negative to the positive, we're doing something. And that right there is amazing. That's why I'm ready for, just like Jason Halls always says, on to the next, right? So you're ready to do it again. And then, you're talking about all these lost souls. And then last night I was chilling and took a shower, and I'm laying on the bed and I'm watching on Discovery Plus, I'm watching Expedition X when they were at Eloise. It was season 6, the first episode. And when you know, and when they're actually looking at, they've got all of these documents of these death certificates, and they go to this field that 7,000 people are buried there. And they were starting to put these markers, these numbers together as Josh was talking to the Historical Society. And they go and they find one. And the EVP that they got was so sad because he said he felt alone, and you could hear it crisp clear. And I'm like, you know, that just brought tears to my eyes, chills. And I'm like, there's just so many people that has gone. And as we are paranormal investigators, we're putting a light on someone's life. Even if they're not here, we're helping them out. Look, I'm getting emotional. Okay, change that.
But you know, that's why when we do what we do for at least our team, and I know you guys because I was there with you, we go in very respectfully and we introduce ourselves, and you know, we're not screaming, and you know, yeah, occasionally we might get a little bit adamant with our questions, but you know, a question that I asked that night and that I ask frequently is, can you tell me what you see right now? Because I'm so curious about that. What are, you know, are you looking at us, or are you looking at, you know, your world? What is it that you see? Share that with us. Or, you know, who do you miss? You know, I mean, these were people. And even if it's something a little bit crabby, again, you know, people have their moments too. So when I posted yesterday about having been scratched, because I was kind of appalled by it, there were a few reactions between my post and Lee's. You know, like, oh my gosh, are you okay? I would
Yeah.
never go back there again. And I'm like, heck yeah, I'm ready to go back.
And
You know?
there's people giving me a hard time. Why did you take her? And I'm like, that's what she does. She's been a paranormal investigator for 14 years now. That's
I
what
don't,
she does.
and I don't need Lee to protect me. I can take care, you know.
Hell no, I'm from Ohio. You're from Jersey. You don't need my help.
Right. And if I'm nervous, I'm going to speak up and say it. You know, I mean, I don't need that, you know, hovering. And there have been times, you know, this, where I come up to you and say, okay, now you got to keep me safe. You know,
Yeah, because there's times when it does freak you out.
yeah.
But you know, like we all are saying this, we want to treat others as we would want to be treated, right? And that's how I was always raised. Like, you go out there, you treat people like you want to be treated.
Mhm.
And you know, I've been investigating since '98, and I didn't have my background history about, oh, this is how it was when I grew up with spirits. No, I didn't grow up with that stuff. I have a big family. You know, my house was the family house on Sundays, football, and my mom made dinner. So it was a big loving family. I never had ghosts, but until I lost my son in 1998, that's when a spirit came to me, and he still follows me. And it was a month after he passed away, this 3-foot shadow. And I'm like, it can't be my son, because my son was only 2 weeks old when he passed. And then when my daughter was born, I would still see this. And then I would do more investigations, and investigating and helping others was very therapeutic to me. So when I would go into these residentials or wherever, it was helping me, helping them. And I want to treat them like I want to be treated. And when we go in there to investigate, they're spirits just like us. We're a spirit. So if they were sitting right here in front of me and I'm talking to them, I'm not going to go in and provoke them and tell them, speak to me now. You know, I just can't, because I couldn't tolerate that if somebody was doing that to me. Like, no.
Well, that's why I always compare it, you know, the same thing when I go into a haunted location. Like, you know, if there's like a woman asking for help, or, you know, there's children that might be able to be helped, it's like I consider it the same thing of driving on the highway and seeing like a woman and, you know, a child injured on the side of the road. You're going to keep driving, ignore it, or you're going to sit there and try to see what's going on to help them out, because it's the same exact principle, except it's just they're in a different dimension. They're just transitioned into a state where they're actually needing help. So I think of it the same way.
And Sean, you've got that tone in your voice. Like, literally one time sitting there in front of you downstairs, before you said you got bit and stuff, and I got up, and he was trying to connect to your ghost box, and it was to my phone. Your voice. I don't know if Patty had it on camera, but I like nodded like, okay, I gotta wake up. Because you're just like talking and you're so calm. And I'm like, okay, I gotta move, you know. If I tag along with you, what's that noise? Oh, that's Lee, he's snoring.
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, Denise and Bob know. I mean, like things happen pretty. We went to some antique shop a couple of nights ago.
Yeah,
before.
let's hear that. I saw some posts.
It was just out of control. It was just immediate. I mean, actually, this place never been investigated before. It's in the early 1900s. Used to be a place where they worked on bodies for funerals, embalming them, and built coffins in the back. And it used to be a grocery store and things of that nature. But you know, they claimed a lot of crazy, weird things going on there. Women, you know, walking through the store and disappearing, disembodied voices, and things moving around that shouldn't be where they find them. And it was just immediate walking that place. You could just feel it. It felt like there was just EM pumps all over the floor as you started to get towards the back of the antique shop. And then I just started hearing these audible EVPs like over and over again. Like it's very consistent. Like it was just like over and over again. And then I was just starting to pick up stuff, and it's just the same thing. The EVPs we got that night were even crazier, clearer than what we got at the church. Like it literally sounded like someone was in the room talking with us. We were in that nasty room, which I think we all think the same thing. That's where they were embalming the bodies, because it just felt awful in there. You wanted to throw up. It was just awful. And I mean, you know, I picked up that a woman was assaulted, and I picked up this guy's name. I was just like, what was his name? I don't even forget. Stanley. Stanley. I'm like, I hear his name Stanley. And we listen back to the EVP, and you hear this voice say, "I'm Stanley." And then like I felt like this woman was like assaulted, and then it said the grape word. I'm gonna say, I guess the grape is the code word for that thing. And then it turned a little darker too. When we got to the back, it was saying, you know, demon over and over again. And then Denise, you know, smelled a foul smell that just disappeared out of nowhere, and it seemed to happen a couple of times. And obviously, if it's not a rational explanation behind that, and from my experience, that could be some sort of inhuman spirit. And you know, tapping in a little bit more, I started to get this really disturbing feeling that there may have been some bad things that were happening to the dead bodies there, if you get my drift. From the necro
meter,
which is, if you know the infamous case of Harmony, Connecticut, you know, the family that moved into a funeral home, that same thing was allegedly going on. And that's a real attraction to these dark things. And once I said that, we got it on EVP multiple times. And then it said on the spirit box what this guy was doing to the bodies. It's told us straight up. Yeah, there was just a lot going on there for sure.
And it was mostly towards the back with that part, but up the front where they see this full apparition of this lady, we had a lot of tripwire hits. I kind of put it in the path they described, so that was getting hit. And then right next to that path was this wall of, it's shelves, but they look like little boxes, and they have these battery operated candles that look like the old candles that have been burning, so that looks like wax dripping down them, but they're the kind you twist to turn on. So we'd been doing some stuff, and I walked out there to get something, and I said, "Was this candle on when we started?" Nope. So it was on the very bottom row. So we turned it off, and then Sean came around, and Pam and her husband and them were all standing there, and they're like, "Can you turn another candle on?" And on the next shelf up, and about 2 boxes over, that candle turned on.
Yeah.
So
wow. And it's just, now it's an antique shop, right? That's what they have in there.
Yeah, it's an antique and primitive type shop.
Yep. Very, very nice antique shop.
Now, I wasn't in there, but I'm picking up just from you guys saying, was there any like a dresser, like a yellowish white dresser with maybe a mirror, maybe 3 big drawers?
There were so many things in there, man.
There was tons of furniture in there.
I don't know if I could remember.
Because I feel like there's a lady spirit that was with you guys at that time. I'm just picking it up.
There was definitely a female spirit there with us
Okay.
for sure.
Bob said there was a dresser in the back.
There was one in the back where the bad smell was coming from, and it was 3 drawers. And it was
long 3 drawers with 2 handles on the doors.
And we went back there initially. The mail meter was going crazy.
It was going nuts.
5s and 6s. Later on in the night, it was giving off nothing.
Yeah.
Spot.
So do you
and
think
every time I mentioned about praying for spirit, that mail meter started beeping like crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah, because I'm thinking this guy back there doing crazy things to these poor people.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you picked him up, or just the spirits that suffered whatever he was doing?
I think this is what happened in the early 1900s. I feel like possibly this gentleman, this character Stanley, and it said there were multiple victims too. It said that there was more than one, and I'm thinking that this guy didn't just do it to the bodies. I think he actually did it to women too. But when he had the opportunity to have something, his sick pleasures went to the next level. Something of that sort, it seemed like, was taking place. But it would make sense that be a draw to that, nasty, putrid smell that was going on back there, and it felt awful. It felt really bad.
And he was getting
what you guys are saying. That sounds like a really good, like, scary movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. I mean, the EVPs. I mean, it was like literally like, I'll take them to hell.
Damn.
And then there's a couple other ones.
They were pretty deep.
There's like, God, help me.
Oh yeah. Please God help me was one of them.
There was just really some disturbing stuff coming through, and then we heard a growl too.
Oh yeah. And this room, it was the weirdest thing, and these two can. When you went in it, I mean, it's all one level, but when you went in this kitchen area that we think was the embalming area, it felt like you had to walk up out of it. Even though you were the same level, you felt like you were down lower.
Oh.
It was weird.
It felt like quicksand for sure. Yeah. It was very thick, very oppressive, and when you walk out of there, you felt like definitely felt lighter for sure. And that's where the nastier EVPs came through in that room.
You definitely want to go back and talk to, like, the Historical Society or anybody from, like, you talk about the stories from the early 1900s and see if there's any information on this Stanley character.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that right there, because my goodness, that's like
an old type of name too. Stanley's not like your average.
Yeah, that's just an old name. Yeah, that's just like Goosebumps, man. I'm like Dexter, but a bad Dexter.
This was actually kind of unusual that night because we've investigated with Sean, 5-6 times now. And that antique shop, that store, was probably the heaviest negative EVP type stuff. I mean, we've had some stuff come through. Sean can share whatever he wants, and stuff that's followed Sean. That's not so nice. And he knew. And, he even told us, he says, if this happens or this happens, this is what's going on. But all the times we've investigated with him, I think it's the first time we've had Satan come through on EVP. And then the demon word so many times, but, he didn't automatically go, oh, there's demons. The Stanley guy was a bad character and lied. Yeah. So he's surely just as nasty in the spirit.
Yeah, I just think that when someone commits something as horrific as an action as that, it's an attraction to those types of things. And when we get into unexplained foul smells, the references to demon, and how nauseating it felt back there, I definitely feel that it was leaning towards there was an inhuman spirit back there for sure. Because it's a mockery to human beings. It can't even fathom something like that. So, that's some twisted sadistic stuff. And then that's attraction to these things. And, I'd be curious to go back there, maybe do another investigation and see if it's a little different.
Pick me.
You know what? We weren't too far from the prison.
No.
We weren't too far from the prisoners then?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there could be stuff, just that town in general, roaming around, because that prison's right on the south end of town.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so a lot of negative. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But this guy, man, I mean, yeah, I'd like to know more about him. That's when I get intrigued with the history when we do
and
the
I
paranormal.
think the unique thing too is, unlike the Lynn Church on Saturday, this building has not had anybody in it investigating. So what we got that night was the first of anything that's been
First paranormal evidence ever captured
there.
in that place with that intention. They were screaming out. I mean, it was no question. And that place, I mean, they're experiencing stuff in there. I have no doubt that, I mean, to be there and working there all the time, the stuff that they may be experiencing, that's pretty wild. I don't
Probably
know.
change their way.
Hopefully they weren't watching when they realized what we may have uncovered in the back part of their shop, because I'm sure they probably don't want that.
Yeah, because he's like, well, I'm not going back there alone.
Yeah.
I'm not going in that room again. Yeah, so that's probably that's definitely worth checking out on that. Find out history on when it was. And it'd be surprising if you find something on Stanley.
Yeah, no, of course. It's all about the validation. It is all about that validation, man. So because a bunch of our research is based off theories and experiences that lean towards a certain specific direction, and validation is like confirming those feelings, those theories, or those pieces of evidence that we have that can gear towards, a definitive answer. So yeah, 100%. And that's exciting to me. I mean, to be able to go to a place that's never been investigated before, it's new in general, and to just go in there that's untapped, that excites me as well. And I definitely believe we helped some spirits over that night too. We got some really awesome validation
I think it was the female too that was the one that said, "Help me, please, God."
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that she could have been someone that
she was probably a victim? Yeah.
Yeah, like he put her back in that room or something.
Well, she was the voice that was coming through saying what he had done. I think she was kind of the voice that was kind of.
I think she was
that element.
Not one of them from the back room, but one of them that he really hurt.
Now people are going to be like, "Yeah, we need to find out." They're going to be messaging you like, "Where can we go to this place?"
Right. Oh man, she wants to open up that for ghost tours. She'd probably make a killing in that place.
Well, that place, yeah. I mean, just from what you guys shared, I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah, it was same thing, man. As soon as we started, it was like, it's like, there we go.
He was going through layers as you was going from room to room until you got to the back where the seed was, which was where that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just a lot of diversified history. Like I was picking up on the random stuff. Like I felt like there was like a kid that had been bullied there, and then like there was the woman that was assaulted, and then these voices were kind of emanating from like the middle area of the antique shop, which it makes a lot of sense, and that's where they saw this alleged woman walking right towards the counter and disappearing, and it's like that whole area makes so much sense. I mean, the Mel meter was going crazy; it was going to the red. I mean, it was just consistently, just like it was holding on to the antenna, on and off for a long time.
Don't leave me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
definitely some interesting, things to still check out. How many times did we get basement, but yet nobody knows of a basement?
It did say basement many times.
There is no basement, or you guys don't know about?
We don't.
They said there wasn't a basement, but I do know that those types of buildings in the old days, they'd have kind of like those two doors outside that would go under the building. Yeah. So we don't know. Maybe there could be some still bodies from that they were working on and they put under the building. I mean, and you never know.
Road trip.
Yeah,
we got to go there and figure this out. I bet you the cellar is closed off, and I bet you
it could be closed off. But actually,
there was a door inside.
Was it Rocky, Denise?
Yeah, I think it was Rocky.
Rocky found. I went with him in the back corner of the back area. There was a wooden panel there, and he's like, "There's the basement. You could lift it up, and it's a crawl space." So they could have been leaving some sort of remnants of bodies back there, and maybe that's why they were talking about that.
Oh, absolutely. Just letting you know that there could be someone down there.
It could, and that leads to unrest, and then more, voices from the spirit world screaming out, trying to have their voice be heard.
Wow, that's a good case right there, man. It's like I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that was super interesting.
Wow.
And it seems like the restaurant next door has activity, and it seems like a couple of other places are having activity too. So I guess we'll figure out if they'll allow any investigations to go on in there. I'd definitely like to
check that out as well. Yeah.
Yeah. See if you get more of the same or different.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on. Now it's like, see, it's already an hour. I just looked at my clock. I was like, it's almost 9. Time flies. I had a really good time with you guys all last week, and definitely want to do it again. Yeah.
Well, we'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
October 4th.
Yeah, we need to go back to that place. That would be an awesome place, and I would like to go to the historical society or some archives or something of the town and see what's going on there. I love those little towns like that.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a good night. I appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Patty, you got anything you want to share? Say?
No, I'm on the edge of my seat because one of the cats has captured something down here. So I had a great time, and thank you. And let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. You all have a great night.
You too, guys.
You
See
too. Bye.